There's the first two bolts I've taken out on the 60% side. Moving on. The old tough bolt. You got to get you a breaker bar here if you want to get this thing off. All right. That's good. All right, there it is. Rear seats are out, and it only took an hour and a half. No, not bad. Main thing is you need to get that breaker bar to get these bolts out right down here in the center where the seat belt is. And then there's one up here at the top that's really hard to get to. The breaker bar came in right there as well. Here's the inside of the Jeep after I've removed the seats. Something you're going to want to do is come back in and make sure you put the bolts back in these holes. You can see straight to the ground outside. And if you don't put those bolts back in, you're going to have a lot of road noise coming in to your Jeep that you don't want. So every hole you're able to put a bolt back in, with the exception of this main seat belt hole back here, because that bolt stayed with the 60% side. So I'm going to have to go find a bolt to put in there or find a way to cover that hole up. Every other bolt I just put back in because I'm going to build my own platform. So I won't need to use those particular holes. And here you can see the back side, what it looks like with everything gone. Seats out. Carpet's a little bit different on the 2021. Some of you may run into the metal bar situation we talked about earlier. So you just got to jerk like crazy to get that out before you end up taking this bar out, which is right through here. And there was 3 bolts or 2 nuts on each end right here, and then this bolt in the center to take this metal bar up that held the carpet. And I don't know why they redesigned it that way, but anyway, they did. And that was pretty tough dealing with that. Other than that, not too bad. I'll show you coming out here. The main tools you're going to need boils down to basically coming in and using an 18 millimeter on most of the big bolts. And then there was one opportunity to come in and use a smaller 13 millimeter on a particular bolt that actually attached the 40% to the 60% side. So you have to have a 13 millimeter for that. Also, you're going to use a breaker bar to get that big seat belt bolt out that I mentioned earlier that left the hole. So that gives you that extra torque because it's longer. So you're going to need something like that. Or if you got a shorter one, use a pipe or something to gain leverage that you can put over the top of it. And then I just labeled everything else as I took it out. I use a black Sharpie, and it's always a good thing to come in and label everything so you can come back later when you want to put things back in. So I did that to make sure I use the same bolts in the same places. And then over here you can see the seats. So I'm going to give me some plastic, some like 3 mil plastic, and I'm going to put these down in my basement. And I'll wrap plastic around everything to keep them nice and safe and keep the bugs and stuff off of them until we're ready to install later. And this is coming back to that metal bar I was talking about. This is a newer design, and these little brackets in here, these things have teeth on them that will just snag you. And you just got to pull like crazy to get this carpet piece out. And so the downside was when I ended up pulling, if you look at this, you can see what I'm talking about. There's all these plastic tabs, and I broke off 1.5. So hopefully it'll still go back on later when I'm ready to put it back on. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but overall, not bad. Not too difficult to do. You just take your time and have the right tools, and you're good to go. And over here you can see the idea. So I'm going to create the platform out of this plywood. Up there is some PVC pipe. I'm going to use that as the feet in the front, where your legs normally go in the back seat, where the back seat I removed. So now I'm going to use this pipe back here, and I'll cut it into sections and use it as legs. It's thick enough to hold it and it's lightweight, so we're gonna see how it works out. All right. Yeah. Called commit. Is it hold okay? Oh, experience. Project Jeep. All right, making progress. These two holes right here, trying to get those right so they go over those studs. That wasn't easy. And now I'm getting ready to try to level it up and see how long I need my front support braces to be. All right. Then I have to start figuring out where I'm going to put these holes on this back piece so I can screw it in to the existing holes. All right, here you can see I'm using 2-inch PVC pipe. Stuff's very strong, but still lightweight. So I'm going to have this one and one more over here, and then the one on the other side. So 4 across the front. Then I'm going to come back here in the center underneath and put one on each side and one over here right across the little hump in the middle. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of roughly 7-inch. Well, it's not roughly, it is 7-inch. These are 7 inches long, worked out perfectly level coming from the back side here. You can see, and I will still have to come in and put the nut on top of this. Then I'll drill the holes back here and bolt the back section in. But it's coming along pretty nicely so far, knock on wood. I just notched that out up front here, you can see. So I can still have access to this right here. I want to set a little something in it. So that's nice. But it still sets up slightly above that when you're all said and done, when it's level back here, the way I've done it. So, you know, everybody's different, I guess, with their approach, but hopefully this is going to work out. Here's the PVC pipe legs. I've painted them a matte green. I picked up some Krylon right here. It's called matte Spanish moss. It's not the exact same color as the Jeep, obviously, but what I'm going to do, I just used some of it to put a second coat until I ran out here on the actual deck. The first coat was Bullseye 1, 2, 3 primer. I've got some of that left over. I think I'll probably buy one more can of Spanish moss, go back to Lowe's, and then I'll be able to make sure everything's covered nice. I just want it to look as good as it can when I put it inside the Jeep. So that's the idea. And what's going to happen is these legs are cut to different sizes. There's 4 that are 7 inches, there's 2 that are 6, and there's one that's 3.5 that goes up over the hump, over the drive shaft in the center of the Jeep. That way, the front part, this is the part that says right behind the passenger and driver's seat in the front, that part can be level because it connects back here in the back, in the center of the Jeep, with the platform that's going in the back. And then this part right here will be in the front, and these legs are going to be attached. Let that truck go by. These legs are going to be attached underneath. I'm going to put 4x4 square blocks under there, and I've got a hole drill. That's a 2-inch hole drill, and I've already done that. So I'll glue those in, and that'll stick right up in there and stay in place. So when I set this inside the Jeep, the legs there will hold the front up and support it and keep it level. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2-inch PVC pipe is very strong and it's pretty lightweight. So this is why I chose to try to do it this way. And we'll see how it works out. All right, this is the beginning of the slide system. The refrigerator is going to sit on top, and then inside of there, there'll be another drawer with, on top of that will be my stove, and then coming out from underneath the stove, I'm going to have a cutting board slash food prep area. So I don't know any other way to do it. If you look at these things online, the cheapest one, like if you go to Southern Cal Teardrop, SoCal Teardrop, they've got a system with a slide. It's about $765. Everybody else, it's just, it goes up from there. You know, short of just a refrigerator slide, it's about $400 some. But yeah, so I just decided to do it myself. And you can kind of see, I'm not a craftsman by any stretch, but I've got some maple here and then some 1x10. The reason I had to go 10 inches is because the stove itself is 6 inches tall. And then it's going to be sitting on top of a smaller drawer itself. So when you pull it out, it's ready to cook on. There's no pulling it and moving it after that. It's already in its set position. And then from underneath that, I'm going to pull out, like I said, a cutting board area, a food prep area. So I had to do that in order to make sure that once I put the top on this, after the slide's in there, and it's setting horizontal, and the fridge is on top of it, that there'd be enough space inside for that Camp Chef stove that I bought, the Mountaineer, to fit in there. So anyway, this is the beginning. I'll give you another update later on. What's up, guys? This is the continuation of my Jeep build for my upcoming trip I'm going to be taking across the country. I've been building a box here that's going to house my Mountain Chef, or I should say Camp Chef Mountaineer stove up here shortly. So what'll happen is I ordered these heavy duty lock and slide. They're like 400-pound rated slides. Pretty heavy, unfortunately, but part of the game. I've got a drawer here where the stove is going to sit on top, and this will slide out. And then I'm going to have a cutting board that slides out from underneath that. So everything will be taken care of that way. This is 35 inches long. It will sit inside of the Jeep in the back on the left-hand side. It's going to be sitting on top of my own goose gear style platform that I've built. And I'll show you my update on that. Right now, I'm getting to the point, you can see, I've got a little lid I've made to access my recess area in the back of the Jeep. That's nice. When you flip this over, it's bed linered now. And what I've done here is I've taken 1/2-inch strips of laminated maple and I've glued it down with construction adhesive. That's going to help fill in the gaps in the back of the bed of the Jeep so the floor will lay level when you bolt it down. And then here, I've used T-nuts, and those will run up underneath the front plate that I'm getting ready to show you when this all ties together, and that'll bolt in so it'll hold both pieces nice and secure and have a nice flat floor. All right, here you can see the front piece up here. It's just pretty much cut out, and I'm using the factory studs, and I'll put the bolt over that. But then you'll see here where these are recessed in here, it'll slide underneath, and then you'll have the T-nuts, and I'll drill here and we'll bolt through, and that'll hold the front piece to the back piece as well. And here you can kind of see an example of what I'll be doing. There's one more strip I'm going to have to go glue down on the back piece here. And as I said, I've created a opening here where I can get down into this area from the back panel. And when that's all said and done, then of course the stove slide out system will be installed. So before I actually install this, this is just setting in here right now. It's not actually bolted down because I've got to take this out so I can get access to the floor, because that floor there will end up bolting on. When you flip this over, it'll bolt on over here. So when that's now bolted down to the floor of the Jeep, the bed of the Jeep, I should say, then it's going to all hold steady. So again, a little update. I'll show you more once I make more progress. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is another piece of my interior sleep platform and storage for my Jeep. This will be the piece that sits directly behind the front driver's seat. And then I'll have a little extension that goes off the end. But what will happen is this goes in just like this, and I can open it. So when I'm standing in the back doorway and I open up the back door right here, I'll grab it just like this, and I'll be able to open it and have storage underneath. Now on top, there's going to be another piece on the other side that goes over to the passenger side from the driver's side. That piece over there, another box like this. It'll all be level with the back platform too, where my stove slides out the back of the Jeep. This will all be flat through here in the back of the Jeep, so when a bad storm comes, I'll be able to actually set up a mattress back here and sleep on top of all this. So that's my progress right now. I'll walk you around the side of the Jeep here and show you what I'm talking about. You can see I haven't put the top on this one yet, but this is the far side. It'll end up being level with the piece I'm getting ready to put in here that I just showed you, and that'll be behind the driver's seat. So when I push the driver's seat forward, there'll be an extension piece that I'm going to put in here. Then I'll have full length to go on top of. Let me move this for a second. You can kind of see here, this will have a top on it too. And this piece right here slides out on my slides where my stove sits. So all of this will be flat through here and over to that. So I have more shoulder room here, and I don't need quite as much for my legs in here. So all this will be storage here and here. And then when I close it all down, I'm not using stuff inside. I'll be able to set stuff on top too. I've got some other lighter weight storage containers that I will set on top of all this if I need be, that I can just move out of the way and stack on top of other stuff like right here. Okay, if I need to. My Jackery 1000 will set right in here. It's going to run back and it'll plug in to my vehicle while the vehicle's running. Then, of course, it plugs right through through charging into the refrigerator. So that's where I'm at so far, making progress. All right, here's just the rough end. 2 boxes sitting inside the Jeep now. They'll be raised up on another piece of, or a slat of wood it'll be under there you won't see, to attach it to this base down here so they won't move. And then up here, when I slide the seat forward, I'll have another insert that I'll have to put in here to give me another 11 inches. Then I'll have about 70 inches, which is enough for me. Actually about 72 inches from the tailgate all the way through. And again, this here is the slide out for the stove. This slides out, but it'll be covered with a top as well. So what you basically end up with is a flat surface area up here that I can put lighter plastic storage bins up here, or whatever I want when I'm actually traveling. If I decide not to stay in the rooftop tent up here, the Sky Camp Mini, because the weather's bad, or maybe I'm just trying to be a little bit more stealth, I'll come in here and I'll lay down a sleeping pad inside here. I can set up a bed area so I can actually sleep inside on top of this. And all I'll do at that point is just stack everything over there on that side. Because right now, when I stack stuff up, I'm gonna have my battery here again, my Jackery sitting in this slot right down here, floor, to power up the fridge, to recharge everything. Then that'll come up here again and attach down here to the vehicle. So when the vehicle's running, it's getting charged up there. But my bins will easily slide over because I'm going to leave this area up here open so I can actually see out the back window when I'm driving. I know some people close this in with a bunch of stuff and just fill it all up, but I'm used to ultralight backpacking anyway. So once this is all said and done, after I've removed the seats and put both of these in, the seat removal in these 2 bins are basically a swap weight-wise. Actually, I've gained a few pounds, saved a few pounds just in this area here, but I've added it back here with this. And then, of course, with the front runner roof rack and the tent. But right now, I'm only sitting at about, with all this weight added right here, If you add this up, the tent's 120 and 88. So I've got 200 pounds between these two. But again, I'm going to leave this pretty much open. I've still got some recovery gear that will actually go under the floor system that I built where the fridge sits, because you don't have to get to that stuff very often. So let me show you that. Here again is what I was talking about with the slide out. You see how this right here is set up. The stove will be in here. And then back here in the back, I'm actually going to build a little wall here. So when I slide this out, I'm going to have a box that has all my cutlery in here that'll come out with it. So that way, when I actually pull this out here and it locks out, you can see my stove will be all the way out here outside the vehicle. Let me step back and show you that. Okay, that'll be sitting out here outside the vehicle. And then right back here, because my stove will stop about right here, I'll have a box with my cutlery and stuff. So when I slide it back in, okay, it'll go right back in there just like that. And this will have a top on it. Again, you won't be able to see this because it'll be covered. That'll be the same height as my 2 storage bins in the back. So I'll have me a nice flat area, again, to be able to sleep in through here, stack stuff up. You know, again, I'm going to keep it down below headrest level, whatever I put in here, and strap down so I can see out the rearview mirror, which is good for me. Let me show you something right quick here inside the Jeep, what I've been working on. These are my storage bins that I built / floor system. So underneath here, you'll see this all attaches down to a floor system that I built. Very similar to Goose Gear. If I'm being honest, that's where I got my ideas from. But I ended up building my own flooring system in here, platform. And I took it in, took it out, put it in, took it out, until I got everything in here with T-nuts. And I've got a slide over here. My stove's inside here, and it slides out the back. And this is all the same height. And I have an extension that goes right here for my head. When I push the front seat up, I can actually sleep in here. And I'm only 5'8", so it's perfect for me. But even up to 6 foot, I think you'd be fine. Much taller than that, maybe not. But when the weather's bad or when I want to be more stealth, I'm just going to lay out I've got a blow-up mattress to put in here. That'll be right through here, and I'll be able to sleep on the inside. I've got a refrigerator by ARB that's going to sit right here. It'll be strapped in. So that's pretty nice. That's what I've been working on so far. Right there, you'll see that is my awning for my iCamper SkyCamp Mini, which is attached to the roof at this point in time. And just this past week, I purchased from Overland Vehicle Systems a drop-down shower curtain / privacy, using the bathroom, that kind of thing. So that's pretty nice too. And the way I did it, I just mounted it. I had to take the brackets they sent me and do some work, if you will, to bend those brackets where they would actually work up here with you can see those bolts right there, the front runner rack system, and that worked out pretty nice. So that's on there pretty sturdy right now. Got that up there. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, here it is. Been waiting like 6 months. Four boxes. The front runner Slimline 2 Extreme roof rack for the Jeep JL. So I'm going to get into installing this, and I'll share some thoughts with you. Well, I got 6 really tight and 2 just a slab bit bigger than I wanted. But well, if it don't work, we'll have to buy a new roof. All right, here is the next phase. I've got the main runners on. That required drilling all the holes here, 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 there, and there. And then there's some play in this thing, but in order to get it the same distance on each side of the Jeep, I had to do some moving around. I had to loosen up this side over here and slip it back a little bit and out a little bit to get the same measurements as I had on that side of the Jeep. I just want to make sure the whole thing was good and balanced. So when I put the main rack on there, the platform I should say, then it's going to be nice and balanced going down the road. So that's the goal. And right now, the only thing I've noticed, let me come down here, is if you look right up here, you'll see that the spacers are the same size here and here, but the way the system's set up, they kind of disappeared into the foam seal washer right here. But back here, the way the interior brackets went in, that's as low as I could get it to come down. The brackets inside are the way they end up setting, and once these went through the holes, they were setting right on top of those brackets. So I don't know if it's meant to be this way to get some angle going down or what, but yeah, that's just kind of how it turned out for me. Now I know there's 3 different settings in here. When you look at the actual bracket here, they're like 3 different holes, but when I tried to use these down here, it just wouldn't line up at all. So I had to go with the center ones, and you can see where it ended up. I don't know if I should have brought it down, so those spacers had to come further down. That's got me second guessing myself now. But at this point in the game, I don't really think there's anything else I can do because I didn't want it to be that far down. If I'd have known more, maybe I'd have brought it further down, but it should be fine. We'll see. All right, peace. And again, that rack attaches actually inside to the roll cage, if some of you are wondering. It does not attach to the roof. There's holes I had to drill up here in the roof. So this goes through right here and then attaches to the roll bar inside. That way you can see it right here through the window and right inside there, right over there. That supports the weight onto the roll cage instead of the roof. You can see up here again that we have attached the iCamper Skycamp Mini to the front runner full rack. So I've got the front runner Slimline 2 rack that goes all the way down now. And I use the 2.0 brackets that came with the Skycamp Mini to attach it. Now, I know some guys and girls move theirs up front and store stuff back here. I'll save some space up front for my match tracks and things of that nature, perhaps, that I'm going to put up here. I haven't decided yet. Then I ordered some Baja Design lights for the A-Pillar, some Squadron Pros up here. And up front, you can see I've got the LP6 I put up here. These may end up actually spreading out. I'm still debating whether or not to put in a winch. I don't know. I may not need one. I'm going back and forth on that. Best friend and I, we wired up these Baja Design lights. So he helped me take these and actually wire them to the auxiliary switches that came on the Jeep. So when I ordered the Jeep, well, I say ordered it, when I found the Jeep over in Virginia where I bought it from, I wanted to make sure that I got one with the auxiliary switches. So right there's the auxiliary switches. And so I'm using 2 of those right now. And you can see again kind of how these blackouts work. They're not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with them so far.
Oh, I'll show you this too. I got a bullet point mounting system up here. That mounted up pretty simple inside the Jeep. At the time, the 67 designs that a lot of people go with were not available. So I just went with bullet point. I'm pretty happy with that.
What's up, girls and guys? Right here is my latest project. I'll show you. These are window blind / insulation. And I know there's different folks that have put some videos online. And for this, what I've done is, and I'll show you more, I purchased some black nylon fabric from Joann Fabrics. And then I also, if you look at the edge of this, it has nice binding around the edge. I have a Sailrite sewing machine, and some of you may be familiar with those. Sailrite's for a lot of DIY guys and girls that like to do things like sails for their sailboat, upholstery for cars, different things. But you can order this binding on their website as well, and I've got a little tool that attaches to my sewing machine that helps me keep that straight as I put that binding around the edge. So I came in and made templates last week for each window in the Jeep. I want to just do something I thought would be a little bit more permanent. I'm thinking about putting suction cups on this, but right now, what I'm doing, if you'll notice, I can just stuff this in the window, and right there, it's such a tight fit that it looks like it may just hold. So all the windows are going to be done, so when I'm in there sleeping, I'll be able to insulate the whole inside and to also black it out. I'm new to doing all this, so forgive the shoddy camera work and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, I figured I would share this for those of you that are thinking about doing it, looking at different projects, asking yourself, can I do this myself? Do I need to hire somebody to do this? Well, I went out and got 3 different quotes from different folks that are in the overlanding business, so to speak. And I understand they've got to get paid to do what they do, and I want them to make a living. But the more I thought about it, I was like, it's pretty expensive to get somebody else to do it, and stuff's already expensive enough as it is. A lot of stuff was on back order. I've been working on this now for over 2 months, waiting on stuff to come in, just like the roof rack up here. I waited almost 2 months on it. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, just for memories, and since I'm going on this trip myself, solo, I figured the more I do myself, when I'm out on the road, if something goes wrong, I have a point of reference on how to fix it because I'm the one that installed it. So that helps me know what tools to take with me, so I'm not taking everything in the garage, so to speak, but I know what to take, like a 10 millimeter head, a 13 millimeter ratchet, that kind of stuff that I can use if something comes loose or if I need to work on stuff. So I'm pretty happy with right now, just trying to do most of this myself. The rough carpentry work on the inside, using the bed liner spray, it's really come out nicer than I thought it would, just kind of taking my time. And again, I'm no expert, have very little background in this, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but it's still come out pretty nice so far. And so I'm pretty stoked about this. So as I keep continuing on this journey here over the next couple of weeks as I wrap this thing up, I'm going to share with you all, the final product, and you can give me input on what maybe I could do better, how to improve it, that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to get in the Jeep and I'm going to hit the road. So thanks for watching. Peace.